Welcome back to Ozarks Fox AM. We have not seen our next guest in quite some time, and it is long overdue. It is our friend, author, chef, Capri Cafaro. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me back. I miss you guys.
Yeah,
I
we
know.
miss you too.
And look how she's in yellow, just brightening our day.
Brightening our day. And look at the beauty here. Look at, what are you making today? Yes.
Well, today is National Devil's Food Cake Day. So I'm celebrating Devil's Food Cake Day, as should you and your audience. And you know me because of my cookbook, United We Eat. These recipes that I share, it's not just about the recipes, it's about the story behind them. So I'm going to be making a very interesting cupcake based off of the Devil's Food Cake. It's a mallow cup cupcake inspired by one of my roadside favorites, the mallow cup. It's one of those chocolate and marshmallow candies, but the Devil's Food story is quite devilish, and I want to share it.
Oh, please do.
So, interestingly enough, Devil's Food Cake came onto the scene, at least recorded, back in 1902 in an American cookbook. Devil's Food Cake came on the scene. And then it kind of evolved over time. It started being made with unsweetened chocolate. And then later on, it was made with Dutch cocoa, and the primary leavener that made it rise in the recipe back then, and even today in certain recipes, is actually baking soda, the stuff that, you know, we use and we don't necessarily always use in cooking. So apparently the chemistry between that Dutch cocoa and that the baking soda made it somewhat of a red hue. Again, not only sinfully delicious, but a little bit red and devilish. So the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in the 1950s actually claim that they created Devil's Food Cake, but there's no real record of that. So that's kind of a little bit of the backstory there with my favorite and my mom's favorite mallow cups. These guys actually invented this back in the Depression, the Boyer brothers in Pennsylvania. And interestingly enough, their mom, they were trying to do some chocolate covered marshmallows, and their mom said, well, it's not working out too well for you guys because they couldn't get it to form correctly. She said, why don't you try cupcake liner? And the first cup candy was born. So forget Reese's cups. These guys are the inventors. So
wow, I never knew that.
Story.
Neither. That's so great.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's all about the story behind the recipe. And it's also about recipes that are easy and affordable, things you can make with the stuff that you already have in your cupboard. So let me show you what I got here.
Okay.
So I'm doing a little bit of a shortcut because, let's be honest, you know, we don't want to be spending all day in the kitchen. We want to spend all day eating, right? And enjoying our
Yes.
friends. So, you know, you can just get any kind of boxed Devil's Food Cakes mix. You can add in a packet of chocolate pudding, a cup of sour cream. And this is also a very key ingredient to what makes most Devil's Food Cakes really rich, light, and just really decadent. It's a great little thing. And then 4 eggs, of course, some oil. You mix it all together, and then, you know, you put them in the cupcake liners, you bake them at 350 degrees, follow the directions there. Super easy. So you basically, you know, you're leveling up your box cake mix with stuff that you already have. And then let me tell you, so these come out, you've got to make sure you cool them. Because if you don't, you're going to have a huge disaster on your hands, and this marshmallow frosting will totally melt. So this is the easiest thing in the whole wide world. It's literally a stick of butter, a cup of powdered sugar, and a cup of marshmallow fluff. Now, if you don't have some marshmallow fluff stuff, which my dog, by the way, who's watching in the other room online, his name is Marshmallow Fluff.
Yay!
And so if you don't have that, you can also, you know, in a pinch, melt some, you know, actual marshmallows. You mix those together, and literally you have this incredibly, you know, easy, fluffy frosting. So I'm just going to go ahead now. You can actually pipe this. It is a little bit hard to put in a like a frosting, like a pastry bag. But you can do it. I actually did these that way with a fat tip at the end of a pastry bag. So, but it's just as easy to do it if you don't have a pastry bag with a little spatula. Easy peasy. One other amazing thing you can do if you really want to have a sugar high, you can stuff a mallow cup in before you bake them. So you put a
yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Well, that would be rich.
Layer of batter, stuff the mallow cup, layer of batter, put it in, but beware, because of the marshmallow, they poof out. So they're not particularly pretty, but they're very yummy.
See, I don't care if they look pretty. I just want them to
I
taste
just want to
yummy.
eat it, yes. Now, I was going to ask you, Capri, does the vanilla go into the icing?
The vanilla goes into the icing. The vanilla you can also put in the batter.
Oh, okay.
So it does
I
do
always
both.
like vanilla.
So
Thank you.
Capri,
I do too.
I'm confused too because I love the way you've zhuzhed up a regular cake mix, like a box. So you've added, you make it like a regular cake, but then you add Jell-O, pudding, and the sour cream. And can you do that with any
Vanilla,
kind of cake mix?
Yeah, I mean, you certainly can. I mean, you can add, different extracts. You can add, different ingredients. You can add fruits. So it really kind of depends on what you want to do. I mean, you could easily, for example, use a white cake mix, put in some blueberries, and have like a really nice, springtime kind of vibe. So it really kind of depends on what you want to do. But again, when you're thinking about it, you also have to think about what's going to bake down.
Right.
If you put, chocolate chips in, you want to make sure that they're dispersed, equally throughout the batter, so it's not one big chocolate melted blob in the middle of your cake. You gotta think about those things. But it is super easy, and it's just such a time saver. And as we get into the summertime, where we're going to have graduation parties and picnics and potlucks, you're going to want to find those time-saving things. I heard it's going to be 86 degrees there. In Ohio, it's going to be like in the 80s and 90s. You don't want to necessarily be in front of a hot oven. So
Right.
Yeah.
time savers, good things.
Perfect. Can we talk just a little bit about what inspired all this? Your book. Where can people get your book, United We Eat?
Yes, so United We Eat, which tells America's story through food. You can get it on Amazon and at select retailers across the country. So check that out. And I'm cooking up another cookbook here that hopefully I might be coming back next year and talking to you about.
Awesome. And don't you have an amazing podcast as well?
I do. Eat Your Heartland Out, which is about the intersection of food and culture in the American Midwest. We're produced by the Heritage Radio Network, distributed by the Public Radio Exchange. So you can get us anywhere podcasts are. We're also on a handful of NPR affiliates across the country. So you can see if your local NPR affiliate carries us. If not, ask them for Eat Your Heartland Out. We've actually done a ton on Missouri, as a matter of fact, because Ozark cuisine is super, super interesting. And then I also do a lovely little series for tastemade.com called Around the World in 80 Pies, which may or may not be the title of my next cookbook. So you can check that out on tastemade.com.
I love this. You're bringing people together through food and teaching us about history as well.
Did she lose us, Capri? Did you lose us?
I lost you for a second.
Okay.
There.
Kelly was asking about.
I said, I love that you're bringing us together with food and also teaching us about history.
That is what it's all about. Our food is a really interesting way to learn about our culture, learn about our neighbors. And, it's, I think, one of the best tools to be able to bring people together. So I'm happy that I could share these stories with you and your audience today.
Capri, we love you so much. And we're praying with your next book, you do a book tour, which brings you through Missouri so you can stop by and see us.
Okay.
Absolutely. Hopefully I'll see you before then.
I hope so.
Good.
Thanks, Capri.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Bye. Oh, she's so fun.
She is fun.
Yeah, when we come back, guys, we're playing record time. Are you up for it?
Yeah, I had to put my shoes back on then
Put your
because
shoes on. We'll be
I
back, guys.
took them off, guys. I'm hot.
Get comfortable.
I know. I gotta.